hit record. There we go. All right. And so if you have any questions as we go through this, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can go ahead and chat to Selena and Tracy, and they'll be fielding a lot of those questions today. So we're going to go ahead and get started if no one has any other questions. Okay. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to come out of the presentation and we're going to look at transfer.appstate.edu, our website. We've been doing quite a few revisions to the website, and I want to make sure that everyone is aware of these revisions. We did some surveying of our students and some of the faculty at the community colleges, and we really wanted to find out what is it that our students need to know. So we narrowed it down to about the top 4 questions that our students ask, and we're trying to give as much information on the website so students can feel as prepared as possible. So we're going to start there today. Okay, so here we are on the front of the website, our front page. As you can see, we've got a nice big weather advisory there since we are closed today. But this is the part that I really wanted to bring your attention to. If you haven't been on the website lately, which hopefully you have, you'll see you've noticed these changes. One of the big things that we're doing is we are creating videos so that students can watch these 3 or 4 minute videos and get the information that they need. If you haven't seen the first one, we're going to watch it right now. This is why I chose Appalachian as a transfer student, and so we're going to go over that video right now, and then we'll get to the other questions, okay?
I chose that because I love the campus and the school and the community, and I think that the community really makes the school a great place.
I chose App because I really liked Boone a lot. That was a huge part of why I decided to go here. But another reason I decided to go to App was because I really liked the programs that they offered for both political science and history.
I transferred to App because I was from Charlotte and I wanted to experience something new, and App always just felt like a school that kind of fit my vibe.
I chose App because I've always wanted to live in the mountains, and I've always envisioned myself living in a log cabin, so I figured, why not here?
I transferred to App because I absolutely love the area, and when I heard about App and how big of an environmental school it is, that really swayed my decision.
Before I came to App, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. When I came here, I joined a lot of clubs and then started kind of finding my path.
The way I got involved was Club Expo. All 435 of our clubs on campus meet in one huge building, and they just display everything they have to offer.
When I first transferred here to App, I joined a program called Emerging Leaders, and we met every week throughout the semester, and that really helped me get a group of friends.
I searched, I just Google searched Appalachian clubs. I found our page that, we have over 400 clubs. But then when I got to campus, I just saw signs up all over the place, and I just started going in, and introducing myself, and everyone was very friendly. I'd say, the best resource you have is just going up and asking people.
One thing I wish I knew coming to App is the power of asking questions, because there's a lot more freedom that you have as a student than you realize. And you can get a lot more things done that you thought might not be possible if you just ask people around.
For new transfer students, I would say joining the transfer student organization. They have a lot of events going on throughout the semester with pizza parties, bowling, or just painting.
I did things like the Global Immersion Day, the T-Pop.
Oh, what just happened? We lost the internet for just a minute. Let's get that going again. Hold on just a second. I see there's a few chats. If I see that some people are having issue with sound, if you're having issue with sound, then this will be recorded. So please be aware that we will have a recording of this, and you can view the video a little bit later on. So I think right now we'll just come out of the video since it's not playing, and let's move on through everything, okay? So let's go back up here to our questions. The 4 top questions that we had students asking were how do I transfer to Appalachian? How do my credits transfer? What courses should I take at my current institution? And what happens after I'm admitted? These are the top 4 questions that we have at our office just about every single day. So we felt like these were extremely important to students and faculty who are assisting students. And so we really tried to put forth information that could give you targeted information. So first, how do I transfer to Appalachian? Let's get through the cancels. So we wanted to make sure that students understood exactly how they transfer to Appalachian and what it meant to be a student at Appalachian as an applicant. So we have quite a few different student types at Appalachian. First is our first-year student, and of course these are students that, these are students that are first year. They have just recently graduated from high school. They probably have not attended any community college after high school. And those are considered our first years. They do have to submit their SAT, ACT scores, and things of that nature. Then we have our transfers with less than 30 hours. So these students have transferred to us after high school, and they've probably gone to the community college, but they do not have 30 hours of transfer credit. These students, because they have less than 30 hours of transfer credit, they do have to submit their SAT, ACT scores, their final high school transcripts, and their official college transcripts. For students that are coming to us with more than 30 hours, these are our traditional transfer students, and the only thing that they have to submit are the official college transcripts. Now keep in mind, sometimes students will submit to us transcripts that aren't showing 30 hours, and so it may still show that they need to submit their ACT or SAT scores. If they'll just send us their courses in progress, we can verify that for them. Then we have our early college students, and this has been a little bit tricky for us just because the detonation from first year to transfer to early college. But early college students are still considered first year students, and they must submit their SAT, ACT scores, their final high school transcripts, and their official college transcripts. These students are still required to live on campus. And we actually have an early college RLC at Appalachian. We just started that last year. So if you have any students that are from an early college, encourage them to apply for that RLC because it's a great opportunity for students to get involved. We also have an RLC for our transfer students, and that's actually 2 floors. We have about 70 beds for those RLCs. And so it's a great opportunity for kids to go ahead and get involved while they're here on campus. And then, of course, our military students and our international students. Now, keep in mind with our military students, they do need to send us the DD-214 and the Joint Services transcript. And if they are under the age of 21 at the time of enrollment, we'll need their official high school transcripts. Okay, and then we just kind of went over the transfer process. There is an official application fee waiver. We put the link in here. Any student who is getting financial aid, such as Pell, if they can have the financial aid office fill that out, then we can waive their $65 application fee. All right. All right, let's go back to the home page. The next big question is, how do my credits transfer? Everyone wants to know how their credits transfer, obviously. It's a big factor in deciding to come to Appalachian. Now, of course, everyone in attendance has probably utilized the course equivalency search. As you know, this is a database that we keep populated based on how courses are transferring. One of the other things that we have done in making our videos is we have created this video on how credits transfer. So this is a great video if you are talking to an ACA 122 class. I know our Jumpstart coordinator, Matt Huntenar, has used it quite often since we've published it so that he can explain exactly how credits transfer to students. So let's take a look at that one real quick. So hopefully it's working. Well, it was working earlier today, but now it's running a little bit slow. So maybe we won't watch that one today. But if you get a chance, please go back and take a look. Well, let's see if it's going to load for us. There we go. All right, let's do watch it.
Hello, future transfer students. In today's video, we will be giving you a better understanding of how courses transfer to Appalachian. The course equivalency search can be used to discover how courses transfer to Appalachian. Whether it is a preliminary evaluation or determining which courses to take at your current institution, this guide is a great place to start. This guide is not a comprehensive list of all transfer courses. If a course is not listed, feel free to submit an unofficial transcript to ots@appstate.edu for review. Transfer credits are accepted only from regionally accredited institutions, and a student must make a grade of C or better to ensure their credits transfer. A grade of C- and below will not transfer. Appalachian does not accept developmental coursework, which are courses below college level. All coursework over 10 years old must be reviewed by academic departments to determine if it can be used in your program of study. Credit can be evaluated in 3 different ways: Courses can transfer as the equivalent to an Appalachian course. Courses can transfer as elective credit, which can be petitioned after acceptance for either general education or major requirement. Finally, courses can be deemed non-transferable and will therefore receive no credit. Credit can also be awarded from the following: Advanced Placement, International Baccalaureate, CLEP, and Cambridge AAS level exams. The most important thing to know about this type of credit is that we need the official test score report to determine if credit may be awarded. Credit can be awarded for military training and experience by providing the Joint Services Transcript. International credit can be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Feel free to contact our office for more information. If you are a transfer student, your official credit evaluation will be completed within 2 to 3 weeks of being admitted to the university. First-year students with transfer credit can review their evaluation within 2 to 3 weeks after the advance payment has been received. You will receive an email from the Office of Transfer Services indicating that your credit evaluation is ready to be viewed. Log into your My Mountaineer portal and log into Appalachian's degree audit system, DegreeWorks. Please click on the class history link to view your transfer credit. If you need assistance with how credits transfer, we will be more than happy to help. You can reach the Office of Transfer Services at 828-262-7877. You can email us at ots@appstate.edu or stop by and see us on the first floor of the JET building. We look forward to working with you.
Okay, so we're going to be putting out 2 more videos. One is about getting involved, which will be coming out probably sometime close to the end of this month, the first of next, and then I will be producing a video also about advising. So you can be looking for those videos as we come towards the end of the semester. Hopefully we'll have them all out by the end of May. All right, so going back to the home page, the next question that we get asked all the time is, what courses should I take at my current institution? And this is kind of my specialty. So we wanted to make sure that students could look at exactly where they're coming from. So we kind of broke it down based on where they're coming from with regard to a community college, a 4-year institution, an out-of-state or private institution, if they're coming to us as a second degree student, foreign institution, or military experience. For our purposes today, of course, we would be looking at those students with an AAAS transfer degree or without an AAAS transfer degree. Other information on this page includes the transfer credit policy and, of course, information about myself as the advisor. When looking at these various options, whenever we look at the students with an AAAS transfer degree, we wanted to be very specific. We also want to go ahead and let you know that we will be migrating the transfer guides or the baccalaureate degree plans to the Office of Transfer Services website, and they will be located right here where it says Transfer Guides Baccalaureate Degree Plans. Since these guides are specifically for North Carolina community college students, we wanted to make sure that they were in a place that could be found by those students and possibly not by other students, because we do have students that call from out-of-state institutions or from other out-of-state community colleges asking questions about these guides when really they're not for them, as we know. So we wanted to make sure that these are in a spot where the students that needed them the most could find them. Okay, then of course we talk about the Associate in Arts, Associate in Science, Gen Ed Exchange, and then the reverse transfer process. Whenever we get the advising video completed, it will be housed probably right on this page so that students can find it easily. When we're looking at students without an AA or an AS degree, we've broken that down also to make sure that they understand the process of looking at the course equivalency search, pulling a check sheet, and looking at the advising website. Okay. Then, of course, we wanted to look at what happens to students after they're admitted. We do have quite a few students that come to us and say, okay, I'm admitted, what are my next steps? So what happens next? We've created for them, as we get there, a check sheet, just a very simple check sheet that helps them go through everything. So as you are working with students that have been admitted to Appalachian and they need to know more about their next steps, this is going to be a great resource for you because you'll be able to point them right in that direction and they can go through and check off as they get everything completed. So we're hoping to make that next steps process a little bit easier for you as you're working with students and for the students as they're coming to us. Okay. Now, we are going to be working on the website a little bit more. You will see some changes as we come through the next few weeks. Information, the prospective, admitted, and current student tabs will be changing, and you'll see these tabs change just a little bit. So as we move through the coming weeks and you see those changes, please feel free to reach out with any comments, suggestions. If you can't find something, please let us know so that we can make it easily accessible. But any feedback that you have would be greatly appreciated. Okay. We're going to move back now into the webinar, to the presentation, all right, and move on to the next part. Before I do, though, are there any questions about the website that we need to address right now? Okay, then we'll keep moving on. Now, the next thing that I want to bring up is the transfer guide, or the BDPs. We are, like I said, we are going to be making revisions to those. Not only are we going to move them to the transfer.appstate.edu website, but we're also going to make them a little bit easier for students to locate with regard to finding the appropriate major for their career choices. Some of the feedback that we received was that on the page that's up there currently, it's hard to know exactly which department you might want to be in. For students looking for education, they don't really realize that the Department of Curriculum and Instruction is where they need to be. So we thought it would be much easier to navigate if we just listed all of the majors in alphabetical order and said, here you go, we can find them as we go. Now, this will not be available until we get all of the 18-19 guides complete this summer. We will have these archived, so you will be able to locate the guides that you've been using previously or currently, but we will be moving these guides, and we'll look at that, what these guides are going to look at here in just a minute. I see there's a few chats. I want to make sure there's no questions. Oh, so Kim, Van Wee, you like that. All right, wonderful. I think everybody's going to like that quite a bit. So, all right, so moving on. So what is this guide going to look like? Because we're changing it quite a bit. The guide is going to be a one-page document, and I know right now it's kind of difficult to read, so we're going to go through each section. It will have 3 sections. We're going to give a more detailed notes section, and as you probably have heard, all the UNC system schools are going to be going to 120-hour degrees. Our university is still working that out, trying to figure out exactly what that's going to look like. From what I've heard is that it's going to be coming out of the free electives. Quite a few of our majors have quite a few free elective hours, but then there's other questions as to how they're going to do that with majors such as interior design that doesn't have quite as many free electives. So that's something we're still working out, but we will be rolling that out with the 18-19 guides as far as we know right now. Okay, so let's look at these section by section so that you kind of get an idea of what we're doing. So the first section is going to be the North Carolina Community College courses. And as you can see, we've gotten quite a bit more prescriptive with this. I've really tried to think about how you would advise students whenever you're working with them. I know from Cinnamon Martin at Wilkes Community College, when she and I have discussed this previously, you know, the students really use these as their roadmap. And so we want to make sure that they have as much accurate information as possible. So if you have certain advising practices with your community colleges or certain majors that you see are better than others with regard to transfer and how you're working with those students and setting up their classes, feel free to reach out to me. I am appreciative of any and all advice I can get. You all work with these students quite a bit more than I do with regard to every single day working with them on all the various majors and institutions that they have to attend. So please, if you feel like something is incorrect as we go through these and you look at them in in July and August, feel free to reach out. I am always open to feedback. As you can see though, we're trying to keep it in line with what we think would be best for the student. If it is going to be a UGETC or a pre-major elective course, then we will have that link so that students can go right to the CAA list and look at those courses. We still want to give them those options. And so we're just trying to make it as easy for you and the student with regard to advising. The next section is going to be the notes. We're noticing that students aren't really reading the notes that we have on the current transfer guides. So we wanted to put that right in the middle and give them more specific information with regard to applying to Appalachian, advising and community college course selection, and then get to the College of Business information or the departmental information. And of course, we wanted to give them our contact information if they needed us for anything, which is currently not included on the transfer guides, I noticed. If you feel like there's any information that would be pertinent in this section that you find that a lot of your students are asking, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. Y'all are on the front lines, and so your information is the most accurate that I can get. But we're really hoping that by providing this information, students will be able to empower themselves by looking at the website and knowing more exactly what's happening. Okay. Then the next section will be the Appalachian coursework. Now this is going to be very similar to what you see on the transfer guides that we have right now. A lot of it's going to be taken right from there. It's going to be pretty much the exact same, except for, of course, the adjustments with regard to the 121 or 120 hour degrees. So this is going to be very much the same as what you're seeing now. Okay. Thought I saw that there may have been a question. So from Holly, you say, so I guess you're talking about Econ 251 as a UGETC. Does that count as a UGETC? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So whenever we go back to look at that, let me go back into that screen. So what I've done here is I've kind of thought about an AA degree, and obviously if they're taking Econ 251 and 252, then those are going to be two of their social behavioral sciences. And so those are, so okay, for the specific major, Beth, it also counts in the major. Yes, correct. So it will also count in the major. You are correct, Holly. Does that clarify, Holly? Okay. All right, we're going to move on then. Okay. Any questions about these sections as we move through them? Holly asked a great question. Any others? Just out of curiosity, what do you all think of the format being 1 page and 3 sections and with this type of information included? Is that something that you think will be beneficial as you work with students more so than the guides we have now? If anybody would like to unmute themselves and speak up, please feel free, or you can use the chat. Yes, okay. All right, well that makes me feel good. So as I'm sitting here this summer and slaving away over all these guides, I will be glad to know that y'all can use them and that they will be very helpful to you as we move forward. Okay, wonderful, thank you. Okay, so the notes. All right, so that was our transfer guide. It's gonna be a lot more, I guess, more easily used now that we're going to make it 1 page and a little bit more prescriptive. So we're going to move on into advising for the top 5 transfer majors for the fall of 2018. I really tried to work with the departments to get as much information as they felt would be important to you as you work with these students. So I hope that this information is helpful as we move through. So here are our top 5 majors: biology, computer information systems, business management, psychology, and elementary education. So the first one is biology. Biology is part of our College of Arts and Sciences. We do have 3 concentrations: the cell molecular biology, and that is our pre-med, pre-vet, pre-dental degree. So if you have any student that's going to try to go pre-med of any kind, that's the best degree for them. We also have an ecology, evolution, environmental biology degree, and then of course the secondary education degree. Then we have the BA degree, and of course all BAs at Appalachian require a foreign language. Let me repeat that. All BA degrees at Appalachian require a foreign language. In this instance, the BA degree is an appropriate degree for students preparing for graduate school. It's a very broad degree. It allows them to have a minor. A lot of our BS degrees do not require a minor, but all the BA degrees require a foreign language and a minor. So, in thinking about that, when students are looking at their concentration selection, this is something that Dr. Shea Tuberty and I had a long conversation about. We have about 900 biology majors at Appalachian, and about 630 of them are cell and molecular biology majors. Only 5% of those who graduate go on to a professional career in medical, and only 3.5 of that 5% actually graduate with that professional career. So it's a little bit daunting whenever you look at those numbers, but something that Dr. Tuberty really wanted to stress is the discussion that needs to happen early on, is the reality of degree completion first versus the degree and the pursuit of the degree. Like, can they really, the desire to pursue the degree, can they really get this done? That's going back and looking at a lot of their review of previous success in their math and science coursework and standardized test scores. If a student has not done well in chemistry and their math in high school, this might not be the best concentration for them. So he is really wanting to stress the idea of having a parallel plan or a plan B. What he's finding is that a lot of students, they'll get into the cell molecular biology, they try to get the professional degree, it doesn't work out, and then they end up reverting back into something that's more like ecology, evolution, and environmental biology. So what he really wanted us to stress was the fact of having these conversations early on, and is it a reality that the student can get the degree as opposed to just the desire to have it. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone? So general advising tips for biology, Math 152 and 271 are both required and should be completed at the community college. Bio and chemistry sequence should be completed at the community college also. Okay. If not completed prior to transfer, students may be pushed back up to a year and have limited course selection. The biology and chemistry are both big prerequisites for pretty much everything else in the BS biology degrees. So if they can get them done at the community college, that would be the most beneficial to them so that their progression through the degree can be successful. If the AS degree is completed at the community college with the biology, chemistry, and the maths all done, it usually takes a student about 2 to 2.5 years to complete the biology degree. Now, of course, that's very dependent on what courses the student takes, how many courses he or she takes, if they take any stop outs, if they take any summer coursework. But on average, it's about 2 to 2.5 years for a student to complete a biology degree, and that is one of the BS degrees. All right. Another thing that Dr. Tuberty wanted the community colleges to be aware of is the desire for these students to engage in research early. He says that engaging in research at the community college level really prepares them for the research that they can engage in at Appalachian. And he wanted you to be aware that we do have 23 specialized laboratories that allow students to have a great range of activities and research opportunities for them to pretty much do whatever they want to do. We have about 30 different faculty who are currently doing research with students. So it's a great opportunity for students to really get involved. And one of the things he says he sees with transfer students is, of course, they come to campus, they leave campus, they don't really get involved. So if they can go ahead and get started on research opportunities at the community college, then that will help better prepare them for whenever they get to Appalachian and those research opportunities. Okay, I'm going to make sure that we didn't have any more questions. Absolutely, Amy, I agree. Amy Tilley made a good point that students may also have success majoring in other areas for medical careers. They just need to complete the science requirements. But yes, and you're right, Amy, the 120 hours will impact that. So I'm anxious to see how that's going to be impacted. Okay. All right, so moving on to our next degrees is, of course, Computer Information Systems and Management. These are both in our College of Business. And y'all pretty much know a lot of that. One of the big things that the department wanted you all to be aware of is for computer information systems, what is CIS? This is the combination of computer science and business. We get a lot of students asking, well, what can I do with CIS? There's quite a bit that they can do with the major, but the big thing to help them understand is it is a marriage of computer science and business, and that's why it is in our College of Business. About 93% of our graduates found their first destination job within 3 months of graduation, so they have quite a bit of success. And by first destination job, what they're referring to is the student has found a job, they're pursuing an internship, something of that nature, but is their first choice. And then, of course, the salary, the average starting salary is about $55,000 and the median salary is about $60,000. So this is a great choice for students who want to work with computers but maybe not want to do just computer science. And then, of course, with our management degree, we do have 2 concentrations there, the management and then the hospitality and tourism degree. We do have an online BSBA management program through our distance education, and that is completely online. So if you have any students who are concerned about coming to campus, that's a great opportunity for them to get an Appalachian degree. And then, of course, the graduate school has an MA in Industrial Organizational Psychology and Human Resource Management. That's another great opportunity for students who are looking at management to kind of go through that and see and get a little bit more as far as a global perspective. And it does combine with the psychology department. Okay. And I will say that whenever you're working with a student who is going into any College of Business degree, if they come to us with all of the prereqs done, the Accounting 120, 121, the Econ 251, 252, the Business Law, CIS 110, and then, of course, their their calculus and everything else. If they come to us with the degree completed and all those prerequisites, they could pretty much get done in 2 years rather if they take 15 hours per semester. We've had a lot of success with students getting done in those 2 years, but it is very important that they understand that they need to have those 15 hours each semester and all those prereqs completed. Another thing that the department asked to stress is that students also need a very strong backing in Excel. As they move through any College of Business degree, Excel is a very important skill to have, and so they need a very much of a working knowledge in Excel. Okay. All right, so psychology was our next one, and that's again in our College of Arts and Sciences. And we have 7 concentrations in psychology, so quite a few for students to choose from. Psychology is one of our largest majors at the university. And of course, we have the BA degree, which is also, again, requires a foreign language and a minor. Some of the information that the psychology department wanted community college advisors to know is that y'all do a great job. Lynn Mosteller is our advisor in the Department of Psychology, and she says that transfer students generally come prepared, that she doesn't have any problem with them coming to her, and that she greatly appreciates the work that the community colleges do to ensure the students are prepared and have the courses that they need. So great job to y'all for doing a good job with all of these majors. Some general advising tips: of course, Psych 150 is required for the research methods class. Psych 241 is not required for the major, but it is recommended, and it will be put in the major electives. Math 152 is also a prereq for ASU's general methods course or research methods course. Now, one thing that students don't always understand is that for the BS concentrations, there is a math and science requirement that is 15 hours, and it's any math and science lab courses up to 12 hours. So they can get a lot of that done at the community college. Really, they can get all of those math and science requirements done at the community college. One thing to include or to understand is that the additional 3 hours to make that 15 have to come from one of these disciplines, but Math 143 and Math 152 are not included in that. So again, Math 143 and Math 152 are not included. I have had students who have questioned that because we say any lab or science course, and we've had to explain to them that those 2 courses are not included in that 15 hours. Early contact with the department is very much encouraged to discuss research and internship opportunities. The department is very much open to going ahead and talking to prospective students. So if you have any students who would like to come to campus and meet with the department, we in the Office of Transfer Services are happy to help make that happen. They can also reach out to the department and they will be happy to meet with them. This department is very student friendly. They enjoy working with transfer students. And so be sure to have those students reach out. The other thing is graduate school. A lot of students who are going to be getting a psychology major or degree are going to have to go to graduate school, and I think that's one thing that a lot of students do not understand. So if y'all could stress that, that would be wonderful, just so as students come to us, they understand that graduate school is very much probably in their future if they're going into pretty much any sort of professional field with regard to psychology. Okay. So elementary education, this is a big one. This is one of our biggest majors with regard to transfer students. And so I get a lot of questions about this one. So the first thing is the completion of general education requirements. Completion of an AA degree is not recommended. It's not that you can't do it, because you absolutely can, but it may push the student being at Appalachian a little bit longer if they do get the AA degree. In that case, what should students do? They should either complete 30 hours of UGETC coursework and then transfer, or complete ASU's general education requirements. For these students, that ends up being 41 hours because they don't have to take UCO 1200 or the first year seminar class. It generally takes students about 2.5 years to complete the degree at Appalachian. A lot of that has to do with their blocks. Once they get into their junior year, they have to take block 1, block 2, and then of course their practicum and internship. So it generally takes students about 2.5 years to complete the degree. So one of the things with the degree is we have 17 secondary academic concentrations, and these are anything from diversity studies to math education to social studies to theater arts. In the past, I have not worked all 17 SACs for the transfer guides, but I will be doing that starting this year. So that's one thing that we will be doing, is including the SACs on the transfer guides. So you guys will be able to look at those and kind of know how that's going to work for your student. And if a student is getting an AA degree, that will hopefully help build some of those coursework. There are 3 SACs that work well for transfer students. One is social studies, diversity studies, and then math education. When working with the College of Ed advisors, they say that these are the 3 most popular second academic concentrations for transfer students, and that they work very well for these students. So something to kind of think about as you're working with the students and advising them. So some of the students coming to us don't necessarily understand that there is a separate application procedure that happens with the College of Ed. And so we wanted to kind of highlight that for you here and now. So in order to apply, all prerequisites must be met. This usually happens after they've been there for, depending on when they come, at least 3 semesters. If they're a first-year student, they may be working at this right as they get to us as a transfer student. So they need to be aware that they have to have a criminal background check completed within 6 months of the application, a cumulative Appalachian GPA of 2.7 and 45 hours or more, a C or better in their English 111, so they will go back and look at that, and then of course their foundation and curriculum instruction courses, which are specific to Appalachian. No grades of incomplete, and a passing admission test score as appropriate on the Praxis core. So what are those passing Praxis core test scores? So I've given them to you right here. Reading is 156 or higher, writing 162 or higher, math 150 or higher, combined to 468 or higher. Now the thing with transfer students is when they apply to the university, we do not require them to submit their SAT or ACT scores. However, an elementary education major may be able to be exempt from taking the Praxis if their SAT or ACT scores are high enough. So it's very important for those students going into elementary ed that they go ahead and submit those test scores. They will not be used for application to the university, but they will be utilized in seeing if the student needs to take the Praxis core or not. So whenever you're talking with students going into education, that's a very big factor to let them know. Go ahead and submit those ACT and SAT scores to see if it can help you with regard to the Praxis core. Okay? And so here's some helpful information from the departments that I wanted to give everyone. With transfer students, as you all know, there needs to be early career exploration. If they come to us and they're changing their major a couple different times, then it can cause them to hit that 140-hour surcharge requirement that the state imposes. And that's something that can be very detrimental to a lot of students, considering that it causes them to have to pay tuition and a half for every hour over 140 hours. So I wanted to give you the links to our career exploration department for these various majors. So the Department of Biology, CIS and Supply Chain Management, Department of Marketing, Psychology, and Curriculum Instruction. Also, we wanted to stress the fact that students really need to reevaluate their extracurricular activities and work commitments when they get to us. A lot of times students struggle because they feel like they've still got to do the 40 hours a week, work the full-time job, all of that, whenever really that's not conducive to their success at Appalachian. So having those conversations early on to make sure that they understand that the rigor is going to be more and that they need to have strong study skills while at the community college so that they can transfer those to Appalachian. And then, of course, encourage early involvement in clubs and organizations for resume purposes, and then ability to appropriately communicate with faculty members. This is something that a lot of faculty stress, is that whenever students, I'm sure all of you have dealt with this, is that whenever students talk with you, you want them to talk as a professional or as somebody that is in our level of education. But unfortunately, you get emails and text and all sorts of things that are not like that. So that really bugs our faculty quite a bit. So they would really like to stress if they could start doing that early on at the community college level and getting in that habit, it would be very beneficial to them as they go through the university and, of course, onto their professional careers. But that's just some general information that the department wanted y'all to know with regard to, what would help the students as they progress to Appalachian. Okay. All right, so we've gone over the website, we've gone over the new transfer guides and our top 5 majors. What questions do you all have that we can answer right here, right now? We're open to questions if you have them. Okay. Do we not have any questions from anyone? Did we do such a great job? Oh, okay, hold on, now they're coming through. Just needed to give y'all a few minutes to type. Let's start at the top. So, are there any other majors that recommend not completing the AA or AS degree? Yes, actually there are. There's elementary ed, anything in applied design. If a student is going into any applied design, and especially interior design, they need to get to us as quickly as possible. Any music or art majors, they would prefer that those students get to us quickly also. Okay. So what percentage of ASU students are from community colleges? Well, I think it's about 7 in 10 students come to us from a North Carolina community college. So about 70% are coming to us from North Carolina community colleges, which is a huge number considering the amount of transfer students that we have. All right, so Holly, if a student completed an incomplete, will that allow transfer to College of Ed? So it's an incomplete from Appalachian. So if there's an incomplete on the transcript from Caldwell, that's not going to have an impact. It's an Appalachian incomplete. All right. So when students transfer, they are not admitted to majors yet. That is correct. So whenever a student applies, they will put their intended major, but they do not actually declare their major until they cut to orientation. And that's only if they have at least 30 transfer hours and have English 112 complete, English 112 or 114. So that is correct. We do not direct admit. They declare their major and their minor if they're doing that at orientation. Okay, so when did you say the new BDPs will be available? They will be available starting probably, I like to get them all done by June, and that way we can get them out to the departments in July and get them set and ready to go by August 1st. I will be working on them earlier since we are going to be doing the new format, and we will be including all the second academic concentrations. So I'm hoping to get them out in the middle of July. But again, that's going to be very dependent on the departments and making sure that everything is where it needs to be, and also what's happening with the 120-hour rule. So there's a few factors, but my goal is to have them out midsummer, which is the normal time frame. Okay. In regards to early college students, community college are tasked with completion of the AA or AS degrees. You mentioned students in early college and some other majors are better served transferring without a degree. Can you say how many students? Well, that's a question. We are looking more and more at early college students at Appalachian because they are a growing population, and we are seeing these students coming to us with the AA or AS degrees. Some of them are coming to us with both degrees. One of the things that we're also seeing is that the use of the transfer guides is not necessarily happening with these students. So they are coming to us with these degrees, and they may not have the prerequisites that they need. So the reality of these students getting out in 2 years is not a reality at all, unless they're coming to us as like a College of Business major and they did get all those prereqs. So we're having to have some hard conversations on our campus with students. I'm actually chairing the Early College RLC leadership committee, and this is something that we're definitely addressing, and then we're having to address it across campus really, because these students do come with the expectation of 2 + 2, and that's not necessarily happening. So, and how do I answer your question? It's on a case-by-case basis, and I just try to be as honest with them as I possibly can. I will be hosting an early college webinar on Monday, March 26th from 2 to 3. I'm really hoping to reach out to some of the early college high schools and help address some of this because we're also seeing these students coming to us without really a major in mind. So that's pushing them back also. So it's very much an individual student basis, but we are trying to look at it from a holistic perspective as a campus. So, okay, can you repeat the number of app credit hours a student needs to be eligible for the elementary education program? So 45 hours. So they have to have a 2.7 Appalachian GPA and at least 45 hours completed. But keep in mind, let me clarify that. Most of our students, they don't have to get 45 hours of Appalachian credit before they apply. They just have to have 45 hours complete, and then the 2.7 is based on at least 12 hours of Appalachian credit. Okay. All right, so here for Melissa. So because a student needs Math 271 for the biology major, for example, in Math 152, we are talking that they will go well above and beyond the AS, right? Possibly, yes, Melissa. We are talking that they may very well need to take various maths just because they need to get the prereqs. All right, Pride. If a student has an AFA degree in visual arts or music, how does app see these? Well, we are working on that because, of course, the AFAs are coming out. I know there's one, the visual arts is already out, and then we have the theater and music coming down the pipeline. And so we are figuring that out currently. So we're going to have to look at these students and start tracking them because it is, from what I understand, it's based on they started the AFA like a fall of 18 or fall of 17. So we've got to figure out how to track those students. So it's definitely something we're going to be working on, Pride. I'll send you more information as I learn it. Is that okay? Okay, so Holly, did you address this question? What about fine arts transfers such as art or music? So again, that's what Pride was just talking about, and we are going to be looking at those students. If a student gets the AFA, that's one thing. If they're trying to get an AA and then transfer to us for the music degree, that's not advisable. Okay, so it's only if they're getting the AA degree as a music or art major, that's when we say come to us with 30 hours. With regard to the AFA, that will be a totally different story. All right, does App State determine entry GPA based on best attempts only or for every course attempted to include low failing grades? Well, it's going to be a cumulative GPA. So we're going to be looking at those hours from everywhere that they've been. If they've been to 3 different institutions, we're going to be looking at that. I was recently working with a student who went to ETSU and left there with like a 1.8 GPA. They went to Mainland and got a 1.5, and now they're at Caldwell with a 2.3. Unfortunately, that student did not realize it was going to be a cumulative GPA, so she was thinking that she could get in with the 2.3 from Caldwell, but then whenever we did her cumulative GPA, it was a 1.97. So we're having to really work with her. One of the issues with that, though, is that she's got so many credits already from her various institutions that if she does make it to ASU, she's probably going to hit the surcharge. Okay. All right, so Cassie, I can send you a copy of this when we're done. All right, so here's one. Do students get their class schedule at orientation? So do they need to do the orientation as soon as possible to get a good schedule? Okay, so this is how this works with regard to orientation. A student is admitted, and then usually if they're admitted for fall, as let's say they're admitted 2 days ago for fall of 18, then probably mid-April, they're going to be getting information about early registration advising, ERA. ERA is an online module that the student takes. It explains to them how to pull check sheets. It explains to them how to register for courses, search for courses, anything that they need to know. So really, students need to take their time and go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Unfortunately, not all students do that. At the end of ERA, there is a quiz. The students must pass the quiz to receive their registration pin. Once they receive the registration pin and registration opens, which is usually about 2 weeks after ERA is available, then they can go in and register for courses. When they come to orientation, they will meet with an advisor, one of our university college advisors, who will sit down with them and go through everything that they've registered for and make sure that it's right where it needs to be. There will be changes that happen at orientation. Students should expect orientation to be a very productive day where they can meet with an advisor, learn all about campus. The Office of Transfer Services relocates so that we can be right there for the advisors and address any sort of articulation needs or anything like that for the students. Okay. All right, so here's another one. All right, so the fee waiver. So the application fee waiver is pretty much for any student who is on financial aid. So if you have any students who are on financial aid, you can print off that fee waiver for them. As long as the financial aid department signs off on it, they can mail that to us, and then we waive their $65 application fee. And this is really great for some of our lower economic students who can't necessarily afford that $65. And of course, keep in mind, military students do not have to pay a fee at all. Okay, so Deborah Ford asks, since students don't declare a major until admissions orientation, are there any cases where a student declares a major but does not get admitted to it? Absolutely. Nursing is a great example of this. Students that apply, they apply as a nursing major, but the nursing department requires a separate application. It is very competitive. That application opens in January, or it's available in January, and then it is for the cohort starting in the summer. We only accept one cohort each year, which is in the summer. We accept 45 students, and we have about 100 to 150 that apply. It's very competitive in the sense that they look at the transfer coursework. Most students that have between a 3.5 and a 4.0 GPA are very successful and get in, but students who have a lower GPA than that are not usually admitted. So it's very important that students are aware of where they stand with regard to admittance and application, and the difference between university and major application. Okay, let's see. All right. See if there's anything else. All right, so we have one that says we use the BDPs here at Wilkes to try to guide the early college students. In addition, you mentioned the early college students submitting their SAT, ACT scores for admission. It is our understanding that these students, they also have the option to apply as a transfer student. Can you explain how ASU views this? So they do have the option to apply as a transfer student, but then we still look at them as a first-year student. We actually call them green transfers because they are coming to us as a first-year student, but the reason that we qualify them as first year is so that they can still have the opportunity to live on campus. If they were just transfers, and they would not live on campus, and we think that it's better for these 18 and 19-year-olds to have that opportunity to live on campus. So that's one of the reasons why we call them a first year or a green transfer. Okay. So how strong does the high school record have to be for a student to be accepted if they have less than 30 credit hours? I have often seen that didn't do well enough in high school to get in and think they are going to be admitted in one semester classes. So if a student takes one semester classes at the community college and then they take, and then they're trying to transfer to us, they're still going to be looked at from first year criteria. So they still need to be as strong as they were. It would be in their best interest if they didn't get in as a first year student to take 30 hours of transfer credit and then transfer to Appalachian after 1 year at the community college. That way we will not be looking at their test scores or their transcripts from high school. Diana, I'll send out a copy of this just so everyone knows this webinar will be put on our website, and then I can send out a copy to everyone also. Oh, and Tracy sent y'all the fee waiver form, so that was nice. Can transfers live on campus at all? Yes, transfers can live on campus. It is limited to about 300 beds for transfer students. As I said, we do have 2 RLCs, and that's between the 2 floors, it's about 70 students. So they do have that option. If that's something that they want to do as far as the RLC, then they're going to have to apply to that after they're admitted. Students that want to live on campus, even if they're not part of the RLC, they need to apply early. The housing application opens February 1st, and it is first come, first serve. Okay, all right. I think I got all the questions. Did I answer everyone's questions? Am I missing anything? Okay. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I so appreciate everyone being here and being a part of the webinar. Again, we really love our community colleges and appreciate all the great work that you guys do, and thank you for always reaching out if you have questions. We're the Office of Transfer Services, and we're here to assist. So have a great day. If you would like to have a little bit of the snowy weather, I can show you out my window. I don't know if you can see it or not, but here's the snow at my house. So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. So it is beautiful. There's about a foot here, and it's keeping coming. So we'll see. Maybe my son will go back to school this week. We'll find out. All right. Well, at this point, William, I'm ready to get rid of it also. So y'all have a great day. Thank you.